This video will cover special text effects, specifically cutting text out of an image. To begin, you will want to go to the material I gave you. It's in a folder called Cutout Text and Practice Images. And in it, you'll find a PDF file of this lesson, plus the 2 images we will be using. Dark blue and diagonal stripe. We selected them and we clicked the open button. I'm not in there right now, am I? Okay. So we opened them and here they are on front. So we have 2. We have the stripes and we have the dark blue patriotic one. And these are the patterns that we're going to use for the text that goes in this document. So let's create a text by going to File, New, Blank File. And I am going to make this about 800 pixels. Well, I better follow my directions, right? 800 wide and 600 high. This is a real small file, and it's small because I have elected to use a rather small texture. Now, 300, whatever it is now, since I'm not planning to print it, won't matter. But if I do others and I want them all to work like this one, I need to know that my resolution is set here at 300. And that is going to control the size of the text on the document. So it's a good idea to know what you did and keep it in your mind. Okay, so here is the document. I wanted to put a gradient so we didn't have white in the background. So we're going to apply a gradient to that. And to do that, you come over here and find the gradient tool, which is in this draw group. It says gradient tool, and it's a G for gradient. And I'm going to come down where it says edit, and you click the word edit, and I want it to go from dark to light. So I can do it with here and change the color, or I've been exploring these. Look at these choices. There's one that is, I think, is called Chrome over here, from blue to this, and I'm going to show you how it's easy to change that. I want the blue, so I might as well start with it. If I click Chrome, I have all these choices. And if I want just the blue, I can get rid of this by dropping those little markers. And all of a sudden, I have blue to white. And if I drag this across to the right, I can control how much of it is blue and how much of it is light, till I get a gradient that starts dark blue and lightens as it goes. And if I move the midpoint, I can move it further. Can you see that? I can make the dark reach farther. And if you, I commented, there is a thing that talks about gradient in one of the PDF files. But you explore this and you learn. And you know how else I learn about gradient? I go into Adobe's thing and I search for gradient. And you'll get all kinds of great explanations of how to use the gradient tool. So I have it set from dark blue to white. I'm going to say OK. And then down here are the kind of gradients. I want a linear gradient, which means I want it to go from the top to the bottom, and I want the dark at the top and the light at the bottom. So the way I'm going to do that is look here. Is it set dark to light? And is the reverse not checked? If I do a reverse, I'm going to get the opposite. So if it's not reverse, and I take my cursor, and you can expand this so you see the thing, start up in the middle with the gradient tool, and then you're going to hold the shift key down and drag the gradient so it's straight, and it will give you a gradient background. Okay. So should we undo that for the benefit? The way to undo it is to go to your, did I lose my history and all the playing around? No. If you lose a panel, you go back and get it. I somehow dragged it off. Okay. If I go to history, I can go back to new, start again, and I can hit the edit tool. Let's to learn how to do it without the Chrome. Let's go to the third one in, dark to light, black to white. Okay. And down here, if I click on this bottom thing at the left. You see the very bottom little arrow? I get a color swatch. And if I click on the color swatch, I can choose any color I want to start with, okay? And that will be the color across the page. And if I don't like it, I come up here and say, I think I'd more like this a little better. So you can change it. And again, how far do you want the dark to come down? Can you see that? I can make it, or do you want to bring the white up? You can do all those things in playing with it. I now have got a blue to white gradient. I just started with the black to white and changed the color and click OK. And now I'll take the top of this picture and I want to make the line straight. And the way to control it is to hold the shift key and then it constricts it. And then I get a background. I like that better. Okay. So the idea for the gradient is now when I cut letters out, I want you to know what I'm thinking. What patterns am I going to put in the letters? Those bright, dark looking patterns? It'll be easier to work with a white text against all those colors. So I needed something in the background. So now we're going to take a deep breath and get the text tool. And if you had it set before, you don't have to reset it at all, except I want the text to be white. So I have a color swatch here, and I can go and choose to make my text white. And now I click it here in the middle, and I get my lock in my caps lock, and I type July space 4, get rid of my lock on the upper space because I want the fourth to be small, or lowercase. So July cap, then TH lowercase. And I have just by chance gotten one that's about right for the width of this page. To set it in, you either hit the enter or return button, or an element, you can hit the green check. You have a box around this. For our purposes, I would like to expand this vertically. If I grab that and drag it, come on, I want to get there. The second time I drag it, I can distort it and make it bigger vertically. So what did I do? I didn't go to the corners. That would equally change the width and the height. I wanted to change the height. And the first time I clicked it, it just moved the box. And the second time I clicked it, it allowed me to stretch those letters out. So make them big. The idea is the bigger they are, the more fun it will be to see your patterns appear. Okay, so it's an OK. You now have your text and it's on its own layer. That is always the way it works. We're now going to bring your two fancy pictures into this one. So here's my document, and here are the pictures. This is an example where it will not work to drag this pattern from the photo bin because it will place it as a smart object and it won't work for us. We want to simply, you can copy it and paste it. That works fine. You can take this file, you can copy the file and paste it in here, or you can drag this and drag it into here and let go. And when you do that, you'll see that it's a very small file, but we're going to stretch it out to the size of this document because we are not taking a human face, which will be distorted. We can distort this. So move it up to the corner, grab the other corner, drag it out, and when it gets as far down as it can go, then grab the width, stretch it out till it fits the width. So you've stretched that pattern to fit the document, okay? And when it fits it, you simply click the OK here, the green check or the enter or return key. Okay, back to here. And now I can move it in and it will come in on its own layer. Yes, when you bring it in, it will always come in on its own layer. And I want to move that layer above July 4th layer. I want it up here. And now I have to do the transforming. You see, I have handles. If you don't have handles, you do a image transform, free transform to get the handles. Then you can start moving it around. I started it in the upper corner. I dragged it till it got all the way to the bottom, and then I dragged it all the way to the right, okay? And while we're at it, let's bring in, oh, I have to accept it, yes. Let's go and bring the other one in. So if I come here, I have that other crazy one. Do I need this original one any longer? No. Once you drag it into the new document, you can close it. And it's not cluttering up your page. Okay, go back to the diagonal stripes and take them with the move tool, move them in, and move them to the top and drag them down. And when it gets to the bottom, I drag it across. Okay. I just searched for free, off the internet, for free patriotic, and I spent a long time finding something that I thought would work. Okay, now let us go and hide this top one. Oh, I have to okay it. Look at your layers panel. You have a background that we put a gradient on, you have a text layer, and you have two texture layers. Let's temporarily hide the top texture. So we're working with one texture. We are going to create a clipping mask between this texture and the text below it. The same thing would work if you had a shape. Let's say you had a heart and you wanted to put a texture in a heart. Then this layer, instead of a text layer, would be a shape layer. Because anything on this layer is going to get cut out of the pattern above it. So what do? We go up here to Layer, Create Clipping Mask. Look at that. Isn't that fun?
How did it know what, oh, never mind, I
No.
asked my own question.
Yeah. So now the interesting thing is, if I want to open this up, it will now be the top layer, right? I can create a clipping mask on that layer too, because it's going to look for the item below it can clip to, and it will skip the pattern. So click the top one and do the same thing. Layer, create clipping mask. Now you got two choices. So you can hide and show those and see which one you like the best. Now, I'm going to say that this will be a lot more attractive if we add some style to the text. So come down to your text layer, and the same is true if it's a shape. If you have a flag or you have anything down there, we're going to add style to it. So up here in the layer menu at the top, you'll find layer style and style settings. And bring it down. Now, you'll have a fancier one if you have probably full Photoshop, but all I want to do is try a couple of styles on this text. If you will go and open the drop shadow one, you click the box to apply a drop shadow, and then you control it. How far do you want it to come? What angle? See, I'm going to pretend the light is up here and it's coming down onto my image, so I turn my lighting angle. You see, if I point it to that left, it says the light's coming from that quadrant. And when I make the distance, it's going to be to the right and bottom. Can you see that? And if you make this smaller here, you will get a denser shadow. If you go bigger, it'll get blurred. So the size, if it's closer, it will be a more dense shadow. And then down here on distance, you control that as to how much shadow you want, okay? And then he had some fun. He added a glow to it. So do you see where you have glow? Is that available to you in your full Photoshop bunch? He applied an inner glow to these, and the glow color is over here in this little box. So if you click that, you can decide what color you want the glow to be. So if we want it white, we leave it that way. If we'd like it a little bit bluish, we could maybe take a bright light blue glow or something. Oh, that looks ghastly for the color I've got in the picture, maybe like that. Anyway, whatever you choose, that's going to be the glow. And you're going to move this to see. The glow can blur it out totally. You see how it's only on the edges if I go really small? The glow can help you define the edges. And the other thing that we all know well is to put a stroke around it. So if you'll come down and choose stroke, and black is fine, something dark, change the size of the stroke. Can you see it around the whole letters? Look how that makes those letters defined compared to, if you unclick stroke, you get the before and after. And you can see whether we like the glow or not. Hardly, the stroke covers it up. It doesn't really matter.
What is it glowing on, the word or the shadow?
Oh, it's the glow, if you have an inner glow, you bring it, it's on the letters. You see it? It's on the letters. Look at mine.
Okay, now
See how it washes them out? I don't much like that, but I do think the stroke helps.
Could you work that into a pillow?
Oh, yes, do you want a bevel on it?
Uh,
You mean a round, three-dimensional rounding?
Yes.
Yeah, go to bevel.
I did.
A pillow, that's what it looks like.
You did say pillow.
Look at it, see the pillow?
Yeah, it kind of rounds it.
It
off.
rounds it
It's a
off.
Oh,
definition.
okay.
So you can round it off. So it gives it more three-dimensionality. And then if you go, let's, style settings, how do I close the style? Oh, down here, okay. Now, if I want to see before and after, I go to my history. You see, create layer style. If I go up one step, there it is before. And here it is with the style added. So this is when you use text, it's really important to play around with layer style. It makes a big difference. Before and after. Now, what would it be like if we hid the top layer? So you hide the very top layer and see this. Now, I'm sorry, he told me something which I don't know why it's not working for me. But if you go to, there is a nice thing he has here on cutout text, and he has probably a better video than I'm giving you. And he's able to move that around. Does anyone know what I'm doing wrong? Oh, the image isn't bigger. Oh, I'm sorry. If the image here is bigger than your document,
Yes.
then you can move it around and choose where to put it. The document just fits the window. Thank you, Ronaldo. Sometimes you add a huge file in here. His example is done with the city lights. And he puts the city lights in. And the file is so big that he decides which part of the city lights he wants to be using. And he can wiggle it around until he gets what he likes in the cutouts. Oh my goodness, thank you, look at that. Now, we'll get in trouble if we go too far because we'll be off the edge, right?
Yep.
But you do have some flexibility up and down. Thank you.
What did you do?
We grabbed the letters, the text in the letters, and moved it around. That's good because there are places in this drawing which are better for the cutouts of the stars. Okay, now hide that one. I'm sorry, and go to the top one and do the same on that. Wiggle it around. So if you have not a huge image, you still can move the image by grabbing it in the letters. Was that you, Billy? Who told me that? You did. Oh, thank you very much.